what happens to every person that attends one of these events. Well, there are, I don't know, let's say 100 booths. So there's 100 booths at the conference. As they're walking through and they're getting badge scanned at every single booth, what that equates to, the end of it, when the conference is all over, they get 100 automated emails and they're automatically sent off into a sales cadence. It's kind of hard to remember like what product you really liked and which one you wanted to see a demo. Yeah, if you can book a demo live and in real time, or you can schedule a meeting with somebody live and in real time, always super impactful if you can do something like that. I will say, like, sometimes there's not always enough time because individuals are stopping by your booth for mere minutes rather than a long time to actually say, hey, let's find some time. That's a much harder thing to do as a salesperson, but a really good skill for you to have, especially if you have the right buyer in front of you. That's your chance. Grab the moment, book the meeting.
What's going on, everyone? It is your favorite SC, Samir Sahai Kausar, with his favorite SC,
Ryan Kruger. And today, the topic we are going to explore is going to be how to be a sales engineer at a marketing event. This topic was actually inspired by one of our listeners of the pod, Zachary. So shout out for the idea. As always, if you have ideas for topics that you want us to explore on the podcast, reach out to us, DM us, and let us know what you want to have us cover on a future episode. So today we're super excited to talk about this. And honestly, I'm super excited to talk about this today, Samir, because I was recently at a marketing event. So this is super fresh on my mind. And I definitely have some tips and tricks. One thing, though, I do have to call out for today before we even get started, it is our fun sweater day. So episode 29 and maybe, I don't know, future episode, we'll do another fun sweater day. These are not dinosaurs. They are the like old sort of like sketchings of
caveman,
people
sketching drawings.
Yeah. I don't know. It's not dinosaurs, though. Samir asked me if they were dinosaurs.
I thought they were.
So I feel like I had to clear that off. Dinosaurs would have been cool, though. Like, no dissing on dinosaurs. But either way, let's get into it for today. So there's one thing that I think is critical to being an SE at a marketing event, and even just a salesperson at a marketing event, or even if you're on the product marketing team. There is a tip that I will give to each and every single individual. I actually recently had a LinkedIn post on this too, but it is all around the idea and concept of nailing your pitch and knowing how long to actually give a pitch for. So in my belief, you need to have a 15-second pitch, a 30-second pitch, a 60-second pitch, a 90-second pitch, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Now you might be asking me, Ryan, that's a lot of pitches. Why would I need to have that many? Well, at these marketing events, sometimes if you are on booth duty, there will be individuals that come up to your booth that you do not necessarily need to spend the bulk or focus of your time. You're there to not only meet every single person at the event and spread the good word of the company, but what I mean by this is that there are going to be opportunities for you to meet some really high impact people that can actually buy your product. And when you meet one of those individuals, that's where you need to have your 5-minute, your 10-minute pitch nailed down, ready to go. And if you're using a 10-minute pitch on somebody that's just coming up to the booth looking for like some of the swag that you're offering, you're going to end up missing that opportunity because you're going to be focused on the wrong opportunity at hand. So just like in sales, right? You got to know when to actually like nurture an opportunity and build it to full fruition. And in sales, we also have to know when to kind of kill an opportunity and move on. So sometimes it makes sense for you just high level when you have somebody coming over looking for swag at the booth. Hey, look, I'm Ryan. Here's my company. Here's what we do. Awesome. Great to meet you. Let's connect on LinkedIn. Let's stay connected. You should, reach out on the application, do some research about us. Love to hear from you in the future. Awesome. They're then going to, learn the good word of the company that you represent. Now, when it comes to those other high impact individuals where they need more time, they're going to be the ones that are asking pointy questions because they're probably already evaluating a solution like yours in the marketplace, or they're starting to gear up to actually evaluate that tool or product that you sell. So that's when you need to be able to answer the types of questions that you want, make sure that they have enough information to go back to their leadership team. If they are on the leadership team, make sure that they can go present this to other folks that they need to bring this topic up with, that they need to go and say, hey, it's time for us to evaluate a tool like this. Here's some information that I learned from this conference. I spoke with an individual from X company, and they actually told me amazing, many great things about it. And here's what I learned. So it's important to make sure that you know each and every single one of those. And the last piece that I'm going to say before I let you chime in here, Samir, do not say the exact same thing every single time you pitch to somebody. These events are an amazing opportunity for you to try new things. Just try it. What's the worst that can happen? You give a semi-okay pitch. All right, whatever. Can it, don't use it again. But what might happen is, because you're surrounded by a lot of people, activity, creativity, you might come up with something really amazing that lands really well, that sparks an aha moment and makes you think, wow, you know what I need to do? I need to actually use that pitch moving forward in a different capacity, or maybe I tweak it left and right here a little bit. It's okay. Like, these are a good opportunity for you to constantly practice, iterate on your pitch. So don't come into the conference saying, like, here's the only thing that I'm going to say. Here's my 15-second pitch, my third. It doesn't have to be that concrete. You can always stretch it one way or another. The goal here is to be super flexible in the way that you pitch at these events. It's important. You want to try to connect with as many people. Best way to do that is by maintaining the time capacity of each and every single pitch that you do have.
Yeah, it's almost like your demo becomes, how deep can I go in each of these different silos that I can dive into? And depending on who I'm talking to, I'm gonna go a certain depth. And being able to tune that like per person becomes very, very powerful. I also think that you need to be able to talk about your company and what it can do without a screen. You have to be able to talk about it. I could be in line waiting to grab breakfast, and all of a sudden it's a natural conversation. Oh, where do you work? You'll look at the badge. That's where a lot of people will start. And you got to have that like one sentence, especially if you're at a big conference where, like, there's 200, 300, 400 vendors and there's thousands of people. If you're not at like a large name brand company, you'll have to explain what your company does, and being able to talk the value, like just talk the value and not have any screen to as a crutch to show things. I think it like very much humbles you, especially as a first time. As I remember my first conference being like, oh, I don't have anything to show you what I'm talking about. Like, how do I describe it in a way that makes sense and intrigues you to actually see it in action? So that would be like another thing I would add, is just you have your screen when you're at the booth, but you need to have a pitch for when you're not.
And that kind of like inspires this concept of like all the different sort of like time intervals that I'm mentioning, because you brought up a great example here. Like, I'm in line, I'm standing next to somebody, maybe we're waiting 5-10 minutes for coffee. We start talking, they say, hey, Ryan, who are you? Who do you work for? Right? And I start off, this is the example of why would I give a 10-minute pitch to somebody I'm just meeting for the very first time? They didn't ask to get the 10-minute pitch. We're not at the booth. They're not coming to me asking those kinds of questions. They're just asking for a high-level introduction to who I am. So in that case, it makes sense for the 15-second pitch. And I'll tell you, like, when I first started in my career and I went to my first ever marketing event, I can tell you, like, there were examples where I was talking to somebody and I was giving them the full pitch, the full rundown. Here's everything we do. Here's all the bells and whistles. And you see them just kind of like eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
And like, I'm still just rambling. I'm going on.
Well,
exactly. They're like, oh man, like I have to meet up with some teammates. Right. And it's like, well, I pitched too long. Right. Had I just given the 15-second pitch, they, might still be curious about but now I pitched too long and they just want to go. They want to do something else. Right. So that's where these like time intervals really come into play, is like, you're waiting in line, 10-minute pitch, that's not going to fly. 5-minute pitch, probably not going to fly. 15-second pitch, here I am, here's the company I work for, here's what I do. Awesome. They ask another question. Now I can continue my pitch. But again, I'm going to keep it short again until I know that they really want to dive deeper into what it is that I do, the company that I work for. Then I can start giving that full big picture pitch on it is of everything that I do. And this is why I think it's important, not just for sales engineers, but for salespeople and anybody else that could be at a booth or at a marketing event. This is for everybody. If you do this really well, what it will allow you to do is, 1, meet as many people as possible, but 2, meet the right kind of people that want to learn more, and where you focus the right time and actually generate some like medium, warm, hot leads that come out of it versus just walking away saying, yeah, I honestly just had a bad day of meeting the wrong people. It's like, well, did you have the wrong day of meeting the wrong people, or did you focus your time on the wrong people? Those two things
are very
can
different.
happen.
Yeah, and I also like it if we just for like as an SE, knowing, hey, if I have 30 seconds to hook this person in, what is the coolest thing I can show them right now to get them to want to stay for the next minute to the next 3 minutes to keep asking questions? Because at any point, some people will come be like, I just want swag and leave. And there is a whole like swag strategy, and I think that's a little bit outside of the domain of an SE, but we also see what works and doesn't work. And so um, giving your ideas is always helpful, and unique things depending on where you are can also just help with the conversation. Because if I can talk about the interesting swag, that's how it comes in, and then we have to start the conversation. You have to be good at you're like kind of like cold, not really cold calling, but you're kind of cold calling at some point. If you are at a big conference, people are buzzing by you. You have to be comfortable also being like, oh hey, like have you heard of blank company, like almost entice them to come over, or bring them over and have that 30 that 15-second, here's what we do, you want to take a deeper dive, let me show you, gear that you do quick discovery, what is their role, and that can help you understand, okay, what type of persona this is. Some of the conferences are like, all right, this is an accounting conference, everyone here is going to be an accountant. Some of them are like, this is AWS reInvent, there can be all sorts of people here, or Salesforce's Dreamforce. It's like everyone is a completely different person. So understanding who you're talking to, and then also tweaking the pitch accordingly. But like to start all of this, break your product up into smaller pieces. And then if I had to talk about this piece, I had one sentence, I had one paragraph, I had one page, I had a forever. How would I do that? And I don't think I've ever actually like written it out, where you absolutely can, but this is more like a mental exercise of how deep can I go in this particular part of the product, where one, I hit the bottom and I've showed everything, and two, I can decide, okay, I don't have to go as deep here, and I can also do a little bit where it's like, oh, let's dive more into this on a subsequent call. And that's like the biggest thing. Your end goal for being at the booth in the first place and demoing here at this conference is to drive top of funnel revenue. And the best way to have top of funnel work is if I get that next call like slated. If I can book the call like while I'm there, but instead of, oh yeah, reach out, like we'll book it afterwards. Trying to book it afterwards, although possible, people forget, and you have to be on top of your follow-up. But if you are able to be like, all right, hey, this looks interesting, let's spend an hour, 45 minutes so I can understand your process more, and then we can move from there, and you get that call for next week on the calendar, and that way then you don't have to also chase afterward.
Guess what happens to every person that attends one of these events? Well, there are, I don't know, let's say 100 booths. Say there's 100 booths at the conference. As they're walking through and they're getting badge scanned at every single booth, what that equates to, the end of it, when the conference is all over, they get 100 automated emails and they're automatically sent off into a sales cadence.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to remember like what product you really liked and which one you wanted to see a demo. So yeah, if you can book a demo live and in real time, or you can schedule a meeting with somebody live and in real time, always super impactful if you can do something like that. I will say, like, sometimes there's not always enough time because individuals are stopping by your booth for mere minutes rather than a long time to actually like say, hey, let's find some time. That's a much harder thing to do as a salesperson, but a really good skill for you to have, especially if you have the right buyer in front of you. That's your chance. Grab the moment, book the meeting if you can. And look, what's the worst thing that happens? You say, hey, so-and-so, what I'd really like to do is I'd actually like to find some time on our calendar for the two of us to meet. How does that sound? It's the worst thing that says, hey, you know what, Ryan, I have to run off and go to the next thing. But you know what, reach out to me via email. They're going to get automated in the sales cadence anyways. So it doesn't matter. Like, take your chance, take your opportunity to try to book that. But again, Don't ask every single person that you interact with, can we book a meeting? Like, because you're going to end up booking a bunch of meetings that are low impact. So you got to know who you're talking to. You got to know who your buyer personas are. You have to know who your potential champions are at an organization to know, like, hey, is this somebody that like we should be spending time with? Or is this somebody at the organization where we want to spend some time with to get to the right person? Like, you got to be able to identify all of that very quickly. And then to the point on the pitches, like, I'm with you, Samir. I've never written them down. That's just not like my style. I'm not going to discourage that. Like, I'm sure there are people out there that, like, would really benefit from writing down each and every single one of these. But it is more of a game in reading the person in front of you live and in real time. Like, feel their energy, feel their body language, feel what they're telling you without actually telling you, to know how long is it that you should be pitching. They might be super interested in your product actually, but they might have just sat through 4 or 5 different vendors pitching them on something that they didn't want to hear. And so they're just inherently exhausted and they're already starting to get vendor overload. And they might be interested in actually, been told go sort out a product like the one that you have. And again, you got to know, like, man, maybe I want to give a 5 minute or 10 minute pitch, but right now I can tell the individual in front of me, they just don't have enough energy to sit through it. So, a 60-second, 90-second, or 2 minute pitch sounds really good. And that would probably resonate really well with them because they just got a 10-minute pitch from a vendor they didn't want to speak to. So you got to know and you got to be able to read that on them. This is definitely a challenge. The first conference you go to, it's not going to be perfect. That's totally okay. These conferences are an opportunity for you to get so much better on a sales side. It's one of the reasons why I really like them, is because you get so many opportunities to pitch. But know that at the end of these conferences, you are going to be so exhausted in a way that you have never felt before, because your social battery goes to about zero. When you sit at a booth for 8 hours in a given day and you pitch the product 500 times, and then you go out to dinner with your team that night and you wake up the next morning and you pitch again for 8 hours, and then you have another client thing that you have to do, and et cetera, et cetera. By the end of that week, you will be tired in ways that you just do not know or cannot experience until you've done it. It's awesome. It's great. You get so many at bats, but you got to be prepared for that, to know, like, hey, when I come home at the end of this conference, I am going to be socially drained. So maybe I don't want to get together with like 40 friends as an output of like the final day of this. That's okay. Like, you'll learn these things the more you do, and you will continually get better, but you got to be open to getting better, and you got to be open to trying new things. I'll even say, like, sometimes, like, if I get like a spark of creativity, I'll do this live in my demonstrations too. I'll just tell them and say, hey, you know what? I've never done this before. So, like, bear with me as I give you this pitch. It might not make sense, but like right now, I think this might resonate well with you. And so I'm going to try something different. Might work, might not work. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, these are your opportunities, man, to just like learn, get better, and try new things. I really do like it. And I do find that like I become a much better salesperson because of these events.
Yeah. I think reading the person is huge. Like, if you just can call out how they are feeling, it's like, oh, seems like you are in need of another cup of coffee, or like, how many of the sessions have you gone through, and calling out what it looks like they are feeling and not getting into the pitch. It makes it very human. And oftentimes when I've just talked to someone, like human to human, eventually they come around and be like, oh, so what does XYZ company do? And they almost invite you to pitch them. So just like, I think first time it's like, oh, I have to tell everyone about what I do all the time, 100% of the time. But you don't. You just have to be prepared to talk about it intelligently. And I will say, like, other things from a more tactical perspective that I've learned that are helpful, and if your product allows it, is doing an iPad demo or a tablet demo. Because what happens then is you can go from being behind the table to in the like walking or like in front of the table zone, and now all of a sudden there's no like barrier between you and the prospect. There's no like, sometimes when you're demoing off a laptop in these in-person scenarios, like the tables if you're doing a regular table and you're standing and you're Ryan who's like 6'10", like bending over there is just not convenient. So like the iPad demo, what I've found is I can be side to side with them. And it works like really well, because you don't have something in between you, and it's also a lot more mobile. And if we're having a conversation about something, I can put the iPad. It's almost like when you're sharing your screen and you're talking about stuff that is the screen is no longer relevant. You can dip out and remove the screen and like have that conversation, and then all of a sudden they're sparking something like, okay, this makes sense for me to pull up, and it's right there. So the iPad demo slash tablet demo, I think is kind of slept on, I would say.
Yeah, I'll actually I'll piggyback on this quite a bit because I have been to enough of these events before where like sometimes the setup isn't really conducive to a sales engineer. What do I mean by that? Like, there might not be like a great secondary screen. It might be a small secondary screen. Your booth might be small. There might not be two seats at the table, meaning like I'm sitting down and they're standing up, meaning I'm offering them to sit down and I'm standing up and bending over. Like, it gets a little weird and awkward. And I think going into my first ever marketing conference, I'm like, oh, I'm here to like demonstrate, to the best of my abilities, like I typically and always do. But it's not like them. The demonstrations that you're going to give at a conference are very different. They need to be like very quick workflows that highlight the value very fast. Like, it's not going to be a 30-minute sit down with somebody. It's going to be like a 2-minute sit down, a 5-minute sit down, a 7-minute sit down. And even then, like, depending on the way that your booth is set up, you might even start to think right away, like, hey, I don't even love the idea of doing this. So what I want to do is do a quick 2-minute flow and say, would you like to see more? Let's schedule some more time. If you have an iPad or a phone that you can demonstrate on, that allows you to be more mobile when the situation doesn't necessarily allow for a good demo. I can tell you, like, previous company I was working for, I was at a booth. There was one chair, small table, small booth, meaning we had a few people that would be at the booth around us. I'd be trying to demonstrate something while one of us was standing or sitting. And it just like becomes a really awkward kind of environment where you're like, I don't know how to do this. So sometimes I'd be like holding my laptop up. So if you have something that allows you to be a bit more mobile, it allows you to be a bit more flexible in the way that you actually present the product to somebody. So I will say, like, you got to be like super, super flexible and really think about like the 2-minute workflow that you can show that's going to deliver like high impact to somebody else that's watching it, that makes them want to see more or ask more questions. And don't feel like you have to give your hour-long typical SE demo at these things. That's crazy. Like, you should be showing very, very short little workflows, and that will go a long way.
We're showing trailers here.
Yeah, trailer. That's honestly like a great way of putting it. Like, it is a movie trailer. It's the 90-second clip that gets you super excited to be like, wow, you know what? Like, in the movie theater, I've done this my entire life, and I'm sure this like resonates with most people, right? I'll sit down, I'm watching the preview. It's 90 seconds long. At the end of it, I will determine thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways, thumbs super up, where I want to come back into the theater and actually see this movie. So you should think about it the exact same way. Will this person come back and actually see it in a live demonstration? That's the 2 thumbs up, right? If they're neutral or then like not going to come back and see it. So you can't give the whole workflow. And if you try to give like the whole workflow, they're going to say, neutral down. I don't want to see this stuff, right? So I love that, Samir. That's a great way of phrasing it. Like, when you're an SE and you are tasked with demonstrating at these, think about the small trailers that you can show. And if you can, and time presents itself, ask them some discovery questions leading up to it so you know which trailer to show.
Mm-hmm.
Don't show them just trailer 1, and that's the only trailer I have for the entire conference that I'm at. Have 5 trailers ready to go and say, hey, like, I'm really curious. Like, you're looking at a product like mine. What would be most impactful for you to see? Well, I would really like to see a product that does this. Okay, great. Let me show you the 90-second trailer on that. Hey, so-and-so, like, I would really like to know, like, would you like to see more of this product? That's great. Can I scan your badge and can we reach out to you afterwards? Maybe I can grab your LinkedIn. What's your cell phone? Should we schedule time now? Like, there's so many different avenues you can go down, but I love this idea of like calling it a trailer. I am actually like, I'm going to own that moving forward. Like, these are my trailers when I go to a market.
Yeah. And it's especially if you're at a younger company where some of these trailers aren't defined yet, that's another like great place to have high impact as an SC, especially if you're trying to become a senior or a principal. Those are the people who are actually developing these types of flows. And if you can button that up and be like, all right, when we are going to a marketing event or when we are going to a legal ops event or finance event, here are the different use cases and like trailers that we can run. I am talking to a CFO, I'm talking to the CTO. This is like the workflows that we can leverage. And I mean, one of the things I did at my previous company was I wanted to give the ability to anyone at the company, regardless of their department, to be able to demo the product from their phone. And so we called it an experience demo, where the idea was literally I'm at the bar talking to someone and they ask me what the company does, and I'm able to show them a 60-second example just directly on my phone of like a use case that made sense. Granted, the company I was working for was like an automation company, so like you could paint pictures this way, but sometimes it doesn't necessarily need to be like an enterprise use case. If it's a use case that makes it digestible to understand, oh, this is what the product can do, you can use that, especially when you're in a more casual setting and not behind the booth, because the booth duty is just one part of being at conferences. Like, you cannot sleep on the coffee stations, like breakfast, lunch, happy hour. That's where, like, if you are not schmoozing, maybe not schmoozing, but if you're not talking to like people outside of your organization, you're doing a disservice. Like, you should honestly be leveraging all that time to just have conversations with as many people as possible around that may not come to your booth, or you may entice to come to the booth later.
Well, no, man. Like when I'm at these things, I am an absolute pitch machine. Like I can just do it all day long, all night long, be at a restaurant, whatever it is. I'll meet someone. Oh, hey, like we're already chatting. Great. Let's get connected. Awesome. Even though I'm not on booth duty, I'm still on booth duty. I will say I have found out one thing about myself throughout the years. I do draw the line at one place. After a long conference, the one place I will not pitch anymore is at the airport and on the plane. There was one particular time I'd been at an event for an entire week. I knew everyone there had been for an entire week. And I was sitting down on the plane. I saw the individual next to me was wearing a nice watch. And I thought to myself, man, maybe I should pitch them. And I was reading the body language and I'm like, you know what? I think on the plane seems like out of bounds. And if I do this pitch right now, they're probably not going to respond well to it. So look, you got to draw the line somewhere. But I will hype myself up. I'm an absolute pitch machine at these places. Like do it all day, all night long. But I find it's honestly like a super, super fun time. So I really enjoy it. I would encourage you as an SE, if you haven't done it, like raise your hand and say like, I'm interested in doing something like this. Because if you don't, I think there's like an internal perception in a lot of places that's just like, well, our salespeople will do that. Our SDRs will do that. Our product marketing people will do that. And not all the time do SEs get looped in. But if you go talk to your SE manager, they should know how to get you involved, or reach out to somebody on marketing and tell them like, hey, I'm interested in joining. And typically they're looking for people to do booth duty. So it's not necessarily like a hard thing to get super involved with.
Yeah. And I feel like as SEs, like we kind of crush at these types of events because we have the ability to go technically super deep if needed. And I love being able to play that lever as needed. It's like I can push down the gas more, I could let it off a little bit depending on how I'm feeling. So I really enjoy events too. And then also it's like you're getting your company's name out there. We've both worked for like smaller organizations who have very to like no name brand, and trying to build that up is fun, especially if you start going to like the same conference year after year. You then start to see similar faces and start to develop relationships, and like watch these things grow and watch your presence at these events grow. And I mean, I'm just kind of talking from personal experience of going to similar conferences year after year, and like every year it's like, oh wow, our presence as a company is starting to become more and more known. And that's exciting in itself of
Yeah.
seeing that type of growth too.
build relationships with the event coordinators. Like the event coordinators can be extremely beneficial to you, especially like if you build personal relationships with them. One, they're going to be excited to invite you back next year. Two, they can help you get access to the things you need. If there's something missing that you need at the booth, they can help you find it. Like there are so many benefits of why you should get, why, if possible, like you should really meet the event staff. So that way you get to know them. You get to maintain those relationships in the future too. I go to another company one point in time and they might say, hey, Ryan, we'd love for you and your company to come back here. There's already a pre-existing relationship that's here. So there's a lot of good that can come from that. One final thing that I'll say on the like the booth duty, there's something that is super critical. This is key. If you're going to connect with somebody on LinkedIn, LinkedIn allows you to scan a barcode. Not everybody knows about it. It's gotten more popular, I'd say, over the last year. If I was at a conference a year ago, almost nobody knew about this. You got to go ahead and from the search bar. So you enter into LinkedIn, click on the search bar. There's a little icon for a barcode. Click on that. It allows you to scan somebody's QR code while you're there. So you don't have to type in their name and search for them, and they might not be one of the top results. So it allows you to quickly scan and get connected with somebody. Another thing that I've been using at events is actually an NFC card. So I have a little business card with my name on it. I can actually tap somebody's phone. It will actually populate a notification on their phone. They tap it, it opens them right up to my LinkedIn. I find that that's like, there's a lot of wow factor in that. But like, it's on you to get connected with these folks. So you got to know like, what's the best way to get connected? I find that the QR code for LinkedIn like works extremely, extremely well. You have it on your background right now. See, like this is what I'm saying. Like this is expert level stuff right here. This is a pro tip.
I made for whenever I go to events, because on iPhone you can flip backgrounds really easily, and like so I made one for events specifically that I just popped it in Canva.
I don't even see. I look at this right. Like this is I'm like I this is why we do the podcast, right? Like these are like when you've done enough of these things, you know what works really well. That works really well. It's so easy to get connected after that, right? Like it reduces the friction because I've been there before. You're typing in someone's name and you can't find them, and then you're like, oh wait, so what company do you work for? Oh, I misspelled your name, and then it's a minute, and like they kind of want to leave, and so you're like, oh, let me just take a picture of your back, and then you send the connection request, and you guys never get connected. But when you do it live and in real time, every time you will get connected. So like you got to figure out how to reduce the friction. This is like pro tip, like 1,000, like it is such a good pro tip for these events. Like you got to know the best way to get connected with these folks. The QR code stuff works amazing. Do what Samir does, have it on your background, have your LinkedIn populated, be ready to scan somebody else or have them scan you. Have like one of those little cards that you can tap and do that notification. Be ready if it doesn't work, have a QR code. So like on my little business card, I actually tap. If it doesnesn't work, there's a QR code on the back. I say, hey, would you mind just scanning this really quick? I do also tell people like for the tap thing, I go, hey, I just want to make sure before I tap your phone, are you comfortable with it? So that way like they don't feel weird that I'm just like reaching out and tapping their phone.
Tapping it.
But yeah, like I think that goes so far. Such a good tip.
Yeah. And another thing is like these events, you're going to get a lot of, if you are connecting with a lot of people on LinkedIn, you accept it, send a note, a message of something that you might remember in the conversation. Honestly, that's more for yourself. So when you come back and you're like, oh, who was this person again? A lot of times for me, I will go and look at my previous messages, and that will help to just rejiggle in my mind how did I meet them? Oh, it was great. It was so nice meeting you at an event yesterday. Thanks for stopping by. Like even as simple as that. And then an extension of that is if you are giving a longer demo and you've done all of this discovery with a potential prospect who's in front of you, most of the time in the scanner apps, they'll have a place for notes.
Yes. I was just going there. Nail it to me.
You gotta take that discovery. You are maybe writing in like typed version of chicken scratch because you're trying to bust it out real quick before the next person comes, or like before, so you just like, let me get 5 quick notes in here. So then when you do the follow-up, we talked about they're dumped into an email campaign. Now we can follow up with actual, oh yeah, you mentioned XYZ. That's why I'm calling, so we can talk about, have a further call. So when you come up for the reach out or when you're connecting with them on LinkedIn after the fact, you have something to pull from maybe you cracked a joke, maybe you guys both have something in common. You have some type of point that you can then jog their memory of, oh yeah, I remember talking to Samir because we both bonded over our like love for BMWs, like, and popping that in there and then continue to do business. So use those notes. And it's easy to get overwhelmed. So like have something that can help remind you. And so at the end of the day, sometimes you'll have to go and review them just to make sure that you can add the things while it's fresh. Otherwise, it just, you're not going to remember.
Yeah, typically like there will be a number of you at the booth. So if you have that conversation, you do a little bit of discovery, when you scan their badge, like definitely take the 20, 30 seconds just to write down everything you can. They're not going to be comprehensive notes. It's going to be like blank, 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 very quick, like just as fast as you can type. Enter that lead in so that way you have it moving in the future. And it's okay to like end a conversation and wait 20 seconds before talking to the next person. So like give yourself that time, like write down the information that you learned, because at the end of the day, like if you work at a larger organization, what happens is like those leads get generated, right? And all that gets compiled based on an event list. And then that information gets sent to sales teams all over the country, all over the world, potentially, like depending on the size of company that you're at. So like you might never talk to that lead ever again. But you know what's helpful to the salesperson that gets that lead are the 20 seconds of discovery notes that you put in there, like size of company, here's who they are, here's the question they ask, here's what we discussed. That becomes really impactful for the next salesperson. And when it does get passed off to that next salesperson, like they're really appreciative of that because it becomes more impactful for them to have better outreach that happens versus just the automated email that everybody sends off. Because at the end of the day, like we talked about at the very beginning, they're going to get 100 of those kinds of emails. So know what is going to be impactful. Take the time. It's 20, 30 seconds. Even if there's people waiting at your booth to talk, it's okay to say, hey, just give me 1 second here. Spend the 20 seconds and then move on into the conversation.
I think one other thing we should touch on before we wrap here is balancing your existing deals while you're at a conference. That I know is a tough thing to juggle at times, especially if you have like you're on a strategic account or it's getting close to the end and they have a last minute call. Like walking away from the booth, finding somewhere where you can work. Sometimes you're not able to, like your hotel room is not that close, and so you can't really go back there. So I think another thing is when you get to the venue, like thinking, hey, if I do need to take a call, where can I go and do that? And having just
don't do it at the booth. Do not do it at the booth.
No.
Like you need to step aside. You need to find somewhere else, hallway, alleyway, a different place. Make sure you got good headphones that block out noise. Like you're ready to demo off of one screen. Work with your account executives too to say like, hey, I'm going to be at this event all day. When it comes to this, like if you need me to demo something and I'm just stepping away from the booth, I might not be able to demo like I typically can. So maybe it's best for you to actually run some of the demo and I can chime in for technical conversations that happen. Maybe it's best for us to actually wait until I have time, or you know what? Here's how I'm going to manage my day today. Let's actually bookend that for the end of the day so I can actually finish up at the conference, have 30 minutes to get back to my hotel. Maybe I have to take an Uber, Lyft, a bus, transportation, whatever it is. I need to make sure that I have enough time to get back to my hotel to actually sit down and do the conversation that you want. Absolutely. Like you got to figure out where to do that. Do not do it at the booth. It looks so unprofessional. You need to make sure that you step aside and let your teammates know. Say, hey, look, I'm working this strategic account. We need to have a call today. I'm going to be stepping away at this time. I just want to make sure that you are all aware of that. Everyone, okay, we got it. Don't worry, we'll cover you while you're busy.
Yeah. So I think that's just one thing to call out is you most likely will have to be given a demo from a location that is not your typical office, even though you are on booth duty.
So Samir, I have an idea for us, like on how to wrap the rest of the show. I think like we've given some really great tips for people that are out there, SEs, salespeople, to like really rock these conferences. I think let's have a little bit of fun here at the end. I want to know from you, what are like some of the best things that you've seen at a booth, like from a giveaway perspective or something that like catches your eye to like go into the booth? And then two, I guess let's start there. Let's start there first and foremost.
Okay, so I think there's two perspectives here. Most of the time I am on like the vendor side of the booth and I haven't really been a participant at conferences. And so from a vendor side of the booth, one time, one of the companies I worked for, we had a like hat press machine. So we had a bunch of like snapbacks that were blank, had nothing on them, and then like stickers that are like iron on style. And so the people would come up, they could grab a hat and they would grab different branded stickers and things that were related to the conference, things that were related to our company. And then they would hand them to us and we would press them on. And the cool thing was is it took about 90 seconds to 2 minutes for this sticker to get pressed on. So they were while they were waiting for their swag, that's when you were able to pitch, because it wasn't just like, oh, I can come grab a plushie and bounce or grab socks and go. This was actually like I had to wait for my item to literally like bake and then I could go. And during that waiting time, that's when we would talk about the product, what it was. And sometimes if they were interested in it, we did enough discoveries like, okay, well, why don't you like, let's dive deeper, and we would step to the side. So I thought that was a really unique one and cool in the sense that it forced you to like, you as the person who wanted, if I was a person who wanted swag, I had to come and kind of listen to me talk. Uh, but it wasn't really in a forceful way to kind of just fold it into the process.
Very
That's the
cool. I
first thing
like
that comes
that.
to mind. What
I
about
like
you?
that. For me, I agree. Like I've always been on the vendor side, right? So it's not like I'm going to these conferences and attending. But one of the things that I do prioritize as I go to these events, I like to actually go and walk around and experience them. Like just for my own knowledge, I like to see the branding, the wording that other companies are utilizing, the color schemes. I also like to meet with the other sales folks. Like I'll honestly walk up to booths and say like, hey, like don't worry about like pitching me, but I just wanted to introduce myself and say hi. And like, maybe I do want to learn a little bit more. Like a lot of people are super open to that. One of the things that I've gotten from one of these conferences, just because I established a good relationship with another vendor, they were giving away portable chargers. I still have it. I've had it for about 3 years. It is like the best portable charger I've ever used. It like easily will charge my whole phone, my iPad. Like it is the most incredible portable charger I've ever experienced. I got that at a conference. So like every time I use it, I'm thinking about that company that gave it to me. So like I thought that was a great one. Some other like cool things that I've seen is like the putt for cash, right? So like typically there'll be a line of people just lined up ready to like putt and land the ball on any cash and get a prize. To your point, that establishes a line. So then people are like listening and waiting. Obviously they're incentivized to like do the putt for cash, but look, I think it's interesting enough where like I've seen it work. And look, there's typically a line at pretty much like every one of those booths for a reason. I saw actually at the conference I was recently at, there were robotic arms that were doing caricatures. So like you take a picture and it would draw like a
That's
quick
pretty cool.
caricature. That was super cool. I thought that kind of like blew me away a little bit. On like the hook to just kind of like come into the booth. You're like, wow, that's super cool. And then you walk away, you'd have like a cool caricature. So yeah, those like jump out to me. There was one other one that I wanted to mention. What was it? Oh, something I'm gonna die. Just
Well, there was one
I can't remember.
that one of my managers told me where they would like 3D print Lego heads that
Oh,
would be like
sick.
yours, and you would get like a little Lego character with your head. And so that's another one, right? It's like you have to wait for that. And so while you're waiting, you might as well listen to the pitch. Uh, like from a psychology perspective, that's perfect. My personal favorite, I love it when they give popcorn. I'm just like a popcorn fiend, and like the popcorn that it pops out of a container,
Yeah.
like the red ones with the glass doors. Like I don't know, those ones I'm always a favorite. But I'll walk by, grab a bag of popcorn, and keep going. It's like that's not going to incentivize the conversation. So from like
You reminded me that what my favorite is. My favorite is an energy drink. Like who's ever got the energy drinks? Because look, after like 4 or 5 hours of pitching, I'm like, oh my god, I just need an energy drink. Typically, I might carry one in my bag. Going to a conference, like you don't. Sometimes you might not know what the coffee situation is like heading into day one, so I'll carry like a little 5 hour energy with me just to make sure that I have the caffeine that I might need. But there have been booths where they have like ice cold energy drinks. I'll immediately go up to the vendors and just say like, hey guys, I'm here pitching all day. Like I would love an energy drink. So far, no one has ever rejected me. They're like, because they feel it, right? Like they
they're
know
doing the same
exactly where you're
thing.
coming from. They're like, please take one, take two, come back tomorrow, come back the next day. It establishes like a quick relationship between you and that other vendor because look, they're doing the exact same thing, so they know where you're coming from. But I'm a sucker for that one because it's easy, it's convenient. They step up, so like I can imagine you have a booth like a bunch of cold coffee, or like just like coffee in a can would be like awesome, cold energy drinks because people need caffeine at these things, especially like right after that lunchtime rush. And you got to know too, like when you're manning the booth, like there'll be ups and downs of the booth. Like there are going to be times like high activity, there's going to be some times with like low activity. Low activity might be like sessions that are taking place, lunch time that's happening, breakfast time, coffee break. Like there's all these other things that might impact the activity flows. So you got to be mindful of that. But I love the ones that do some caffeine. It's awesome.
Well, to that point, I think another thing that we didn't touch on that is probably valuable, especially for like first time people, is like, what do you wear?
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes, we needed to hit on this. I didn't write it down on my sheet today, man.
Like, what do you wear? And it is, I think there's a lot of personal preference here, and you can, I feel like there's a wide range of things that I've seen people wear, from all the way as casual as like, a quarter zip and just like nicer jeans, to then like full blown like 3-piece suits, and everything in between. So I have some thoughts, but I'll let you go first, Brian.
All right, man. I have thoughts on this. Know the audience of the event that you're going to. For instance, there was a financial conference that I would go to. That financial conference, every single individual there would be in a 3-piece suit. So showing up in jeans and a t-shirt, you feel quite underdressed, meaning like you're thinking about it and you're not going to be on top of your game as best you can. That being said, like your company might say, hey, look, like this is going to be like our branded approach to this. Like we're going to be jeans and a branded t-shirt. It's totally cool. Like go with the approach that the marketing team is giving you, but make sure that you're in alignment. Like, hey, we're wearing this t-shirt today, we're wearing this the next day, etc. Right? The other thing that I think is like pretty easy, or like you'll be in the middle ground no matter what, would be like branded polos. I think branded polos go a long way. They're easy enough for anybody to wear. You're in the middle ground of like, you're formal enough, you're business casual, so like you fit right in the middle. I always like that. But I would say like for me, it's always going to be based on the conference that I'm attending and like the alignment of the marketing team. Like what you don't want is like one person at the booth shows up in a 3-piece suit, the other person shows up in a t-shirt, the other person shows up in a polo, and like there's like this total disarray of what everyone is doing. Like in your prep meeting for the conference, like that should definitely be discussed. Like, here's what we're wearing is going to be business casual with our branded blank, and here's what it's going to be. So I think that's super important. And then one caveat to all of this, if you are going to have like a speaking engagement, maybe you're leading a roundtable or like you're going to go speak in front of like, that might actually change the attire that you wear too, right? So like maybe you are in like a branded t-shirt, but if I'm going to be speaking in front of an audience of people that are all in suits, then like, I'm going to show up in a suit because like I need to have that sort of presence on stage, where like I feel comfortable and I match what the audience is looking for. So that might be a reason why you wouldn't match with everybody else. But yeah, definitely important. I would talk about it in that prep meeting, make sure everyone's in alignment. Here's what we're wearing. And marketing, like, provide like the swag too. Like if you have new people at the company, it's their first event, make sure that they have the swag that's available to them. That's super helpful. And it just makes sure that everyone's in alignment, heading into the event.
Yeah, I think it's really important to make sure you're all aligned. And then the other piece is it, at least for a lot of us, we are like working from home. And so a lot of the people who are attending are also working from home, and this is them, coming out. And so it's an opportunity for you to leverage what you wear as a way to almost show your personality, I guess. I mean, like fashion is a way of personality and showing that. And I feel like since you're working from home, you don't have as much opportunity to use that. I don't know. I have a tendency to wear kind of more colorful suits, things that are not your traditional like gray and blue. I think those are like the most common types of suits. So if you have like a style preference that can show your personality a little bit, like I would definitely encourage that. And it's always always positively commented on. Like, no one's gonna get mad at you for dressing well. And like, if you look good and you might be overdressed a little bit, like that's never a problem.
1 minute rant here. Like, I'll tell you something I've started probably about 2 years ago at all these events, and even actually every time I go and meet with like, prospective customers, I do not wear dress shoes anymore. I wear very cool sneakers. Like, I played basketball in college. I have like very cool custom Jordans and retro Jordans and other cool sneakers. Like, so I take that as an opportunity for me stylistically to actually show up and show out in the things that make me comfortable, which are like my cool sneakers that I've been keeping for a long time. And so like it becomes a talking point too. Like when I have on a unique pair of shoes, that go with my suit that I'm wearing, somebody will usually come up and say, "Hey, I really like the sneakers. Like that's so different." And I feel really comfortable in them too, right? Like dress shoes are inherently like not super comfortable. And so like for me, like wearing a nice pair of sneakers that go with my suit or go with some dress attire that I have, like it gives me that opportunity for me to show my personality. And inherently somebody is going to come and make a comment on it, and that will spark a conversation super naturally. And so it's something that I really like. I think there's like a stigma around like needing to wear dress shoes. I've gotten away from it. And honestly, like no one's ever been like, "Ryan, why aren't you wearing dress shoes right now?" I feel super comfortable in it. So it's something that I've done, but it aligns with like my personality, my style. And look, I've got on like this crazy jacket right now. I wouldn't wear this at the conference maybe, but like, look, man, my shoes, like I'm more than happy to.
Yeah. So take the opportunity to throw a little of your own flair in it, just like you would in your demos. Like use it while you're out at conferences. Any last thoughts for the audience before we bid them farewell?
No last thoughts for me, but I like what you said there, Samir. Like, be yourself, right? Like, this is an opportunity for you to show up and be you, right? Like, give your pitches, show up in your style, wear the things that make you feel comfortable. And, like, it's a really awesome opportunity. And if you're interested, go make it happen. Like, do not stop today. Like, you find that this episode resonated with you, like, start the conversation with your manager, kick off a conversation with marketing, like, make it happen. I'm telling you, they're looking for people that want to do booth duty. So if you're interested in this, like go and experience it for the first time.
Yeah. All you got to do is ask. They would love it. And it's a good way to get some more broader recognition across the company.
Well, that does it, man.
All right. We'll see you all next time.
See you, everyone.